True Reviewage is packing a piece up in here, also known as another top 10 list. Have you ever come across a video game villain and he's all bad and shit and you don't like him, but then he says something and you're like, yeah, but shit, he's right. Well, here we have the top 10 video game villains that actually make a point. Usual rules apply, and please keep in mind that this list is only limited to 10 spaces, so not everyone will make it on this list. Cue the hate. Oh, and spoiler alert. Hit it! The Empress of Time. We kick this list off with some P.O.P. To this day, I still don't get why everyone hates this game so much, but I will say that one of this game's antagonists does make a point. At least for me. The Empress of Time was the one who supposedly created, or at least helped to create, the Sands of Time, to which the prince is trying to stop in order to save himself. However, throughout this whole time, the Empress, who you've met on several occasions, known as Kailina, has actually been trying to kill you. But there's a reason for that, and that is because you're destined to kill her. So in the same way that you're trying to change your fate, so is she. But what really hit it home for me was that the prince stayed around for her after the sands were stopped. Because he's still here, he's a threat to her, so her death, in both endings if you include what happens at the start of Two Thrones, could have been avoided had the prince just f***ed off after completing his mission. It means that the problem is the prince himself, not the Empress. 343 Guilty Spark. Though I can't agree with him, he does kind of make a point. The Floods are a real problem, and 343 Guilty Spark has a solution. By activating the rings known as halos, the entire Flood species will be wiped out, saving the galaxy from being consumed by them. The thing is, though, that by doing that, you'll also be eliminating all life in the galaxy as well, which kind of defeats the point. But if our only two options are wipe out all life in the galaxy except for what killed us, or wipe out everything, then I'd probably go for a full deep clean, if you know what I'm saying. Archer! Yeah, I know I mentioned this recently, but it's a good example here. This is from the Unlimited Blade Works route, but there's a scene where Archer fights Caster that deserves some attention. Caster is one of the main antagonists, and is collecting mana from the city by killing loads and loads of people. The two fight each other, with Archer supposedly winning the fight, however, he doesn't kill her. Instead, he lets her go to continue what she's been doing. The reason being is so that she can gain enough power to take out another overpowered servant, and then Archer will kill her after that. Now, on the surface, this is bad because he's giving her permission to kill loads of innocent people. However, in the bigger picture, this might actually be a good strategy in the long run, and could potentially save thousands, if not millions of lives, by getting her to eliminate those who would use the Grail for evil, and then finishing her off while she's weak. Not a great option as it involves the deaths of many innocent people, but not a bad one if you think about it. Haytham Kenway! Despite being an awful game, the Templars were the best part of it. That's because for the first time, arguably, they have something to say that makes sense, and that is, the world is going to shit, so let's try to establish some order, shall we? Haytham Kenway portrays this perfectly. The assassins believe in true freedom, however Kenway claims that true freedom is chaotic. And this is true. Sorry to sound like an intellectual dick, but go read Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes. To put it simply, in a world where there is no law and order, mankind would destroy itself. Theft, arson and other damages to property, rape, murder, and every barbaric act would be a daily occurrence because there'd be no repercussions for such actions. No, look at any Fallout game. How savage the world is because there isn't law and order. But go to a settlement, i.e. an organised society, and everyone is getting along just fine and the population is thriving. When a social contract is formed, when a society is created, you're receiving security and a greater chance of survival in exchange for contributions to that society, as well as forfeiting some of your freedom. Why does Connor not get that? It's fucking basic stuff! The Illusive Man! Okay, so he goes full on indoctrinated in the third game, but listen to what he has to say in number 2. I felt that he made even more valid points than Saren did, hence why he's not on this list. Though now being a part of the Galactic Council and being recognised by the other alien races, mankind is still considered newborns amongst those races. We're not really taken seriously and our voices are rarely heard. We don't necessarily want to become the dominant race in the galaxy, but at least let us have an equal share because we're an advanced race as well. I mean, look at the things humanity can offer. We've got free home delivery and that coffee shop that everyone likes. But the Illusive Man has a better idea. Why not, instead of destroying the Reapers, why not just take over them and have them as weapons instead? To the galaxy, that'd be like gaining nuclear weapons on a galactic scale. He's only got our best interests at heart, or at least he did to begin with, before he became the Reaper's bitch, but whatever, he's here at number 6 all the same. Seymour! Jesus Christ, I still haven't forgotten about this guy. I really hated him, but I suppose that you're meant to hate him. The thing is though, that despite being a bastard, he does, however, have noble intentions. He's trying to become the next Sin, and though it may seem like he's doing this for power, he's actually really not. He's only doing this to save the world from this current Sin, and then hopes that someone else will come along during the next cycle and take him out then. The thought of flipping Lady Unalesca the bird and going on a rampage didn't occur to him, so you can't entirely hold his motives against him. Handsome Jack! The one and only Jack who is handsome is here at number 4. He's sadistic, he's a murderer, and he's probably lost his mind, but that doesn't change the fact that he's actually trying to make Pandora a better place. At least in his own way. Pandora is a breeding ground for raiders and vicious gangs, so there's absolutely no hope of forming lasting colonies there. Jack's solution, however, is to summon a massive fire monster so that he can commit mass genocide upon the bandit-ridden world. Sounds bad, right? Wrong. By getting rid of all of those raider scum, Pandora would be suitable for colonization. Though I bet that Hyperion would just take it for themselves, seeing as Jack did do all of the work. N! Pokemon might be fun and addictive and all that jazz, but have you ever stopped and wondered if what you're doing is actually animal cruelty? Well, N thinks you are. You're essentially going out into the wild, capturing wild animals against their will, containing them in small devices, and then forcing them to fight each other. And literally everyone is doing it! Why is the world okay with this? And what's stopping someone developing a device that can capture other people and make them fight against their will? It's not okay to do that to other people, so why is it okay to do it to animals? Somebody call the animal rights services. Caesar's Legion. It's hard to admit that slavery, totalitarianism, and the eradication of foreign social and cultural identities may be the best option in Fallout New Vegas, but considering the other choices, well, Caesar's Legion is really the best one when you stop and think about it. The NCR hasn't really got what it takes to bring order to the Mojave Desert. Mr. House isn't a real leader. The other families aren't strong enough to claim ownership of New Vegas without warring against all of the others. The Great Khans are too small of a force, and the Boomers are just a defensive force. Also, the Brotherhood of Steel were busy doing their usual thing, so none of this concerns them. Leaving Caesar's Legion is the only real option here. Don't get me wrong, if they take over, then it'll bring 1,000 years of misery and suffering to the people of the Wastes, but at least there'll be peace and order?
It's been 1 week since you looked at me, cocked your head to the side and said I'm angry.
Kreia! And so, Totally Not a Sith Lord is in at number 1. Kreia, also known as Darth Treya, is one of your companions in Knights of the Old Republic 2. She's also a goddamn Sith Lord who wants to destroy the Force for good. Now, this might sound bad, but actually, it might not be as bad as you once thought. See, it turns out that the Force is subtly influencing people on both sides of the Force to eternally fight each other, given that the main plot of Star Wars is always the light side versus the dark. But if you remove the Force, then you also remove both sides that are fighting each other, thus bringing about the end to most conflicts in the galaxy. See, just because she's a bad guy doesn't mean she's thick. And that's that one terminated, but if you're evil and you've got a point, then like this shit, subscribe to my shit, and I'll see you on the next shit, so stay tuned. See ya!
Sometimes I think this life is killing me.